I got obsessed with trying to find out if she was lying about the drugs. I needed undeniable proof. The next day when she left for work, I tore up the house looking for something. I had no idea what I was looking for. A bag of coke? Some pills maybe? I went through every drawer, every nook and cranny of every piece of furniture, coat pocket, on top of the cabinets, anywhere she could hide something. I found nothing. I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid. My PTSD and insecurities about my past relationship were triggering me, and I was just getting obsessive with trying to find something that wasn't there. I decided I would stop trying to find out if she was lying, because if I was wrong, my behavior could ruin a good relationship. I thought Kate would never lie to me, or even worse, cheat on me. She had a horrible experience with her ex-husband cheating on her while she was pregnant, and he also hid a drug problem from her. So I couldn't imagine her doing the same thing to me that her ex-husband did to her. So I let things go. She came home at normal times again for a while. This calmed me down a lot. I began to feel bad for my paranoia. Until, one night, I'm at a local pool hall playing at a table with a random guy. We will call him Jerry. And while me and Jerry are chatting, I mentioned that my girlfriend works at the club's name. Jerry's sister, Sarah, was hanging out with us while we played pool, said she worked at the same club a couple of months ago. I asked her if she knew Kate, and she said she did, but they weren't really that close. They mostly knew each other in passing. I then expressed that I wished Kate had a day job where we could be home together more at night when I got off work. I tell Sarah that since the club typically closes at 4, I would only see Kate for about an hour or two before I left for work in the morning. Sarah then looks at me confused and says, "I thought they close at 2 a.m. When I worked there, we only closed at 4 on Friday and Saturday nights. And quote. I tell Sarah they changed the hours after you left. Sarah then tells me that her roommate still works there, and she never mentioned the closing times had changed because she still comes home just after 2 during the week. It got awkward fast, but I shrugged it off and finished the game of pool. After the game, I went home and I couldn't get what Sarah told me out of my head. I looked up the club Kate worked at, and indeed, it said they were only open till 4 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights and 2 a.m. every other night. I again convinced myself that they must have not updated the times on their website yet after they made changes or something. Deep down I knew Kate was up to something. But I was so scared of being lied to again after years of avoiding relationships for that exact reason. I was in full-fledged denial. The next day was a Sunday night. I texted Kate and asked her when she would be off that night, and she said she would be home at 4:30 and she would text me when she was on her way. So at 2:30 a.m. I called the club and asked if I could speak with her. It was about her son. The manager answered and told me they had closed at 2, and Kate already left. I felt like I was going to throw up. I decided I was going to confront Kate. I don't know when she came home that night because I ended up drinking until I passed out and didn't go out to the parking lot to walk her in. When I woke up, she was asleep next to me. I got up and went into the living room where I saw her purse sitting on the coffee table. I picked it up and started to go through it. At first I didn't find anything, no drugs or anything shady else that would throw me off. Then I noticed tucked away in one of the small zippers I found an empty dime bag and rolled up dollar bill. Is this what I have been looking for all this time? I just put it down on the coffee table and went to work. I was hoping she would see it and know that I found it. When I came home, she was getting ready for work. She was in front of the bathroom mirror doing her makeup, specifically her eyeliner. I lean up against the door and look at her through the mirror. She looks up and says, "Hey babe, what's up? How was work?" I guess she didn't see that I found the rolled up dollar bill. I reply with, "Hey, we need to talk about something," and quote. I proceed to tell her that I called the club and they told me they close at 2 on Sundays. She immediately ignores the entire topic of her lying about what time the club closes and proceeds to scream at me for being controlling and obsessive and not trusting her and having no right to call the club in the first place. It didn't faze me. I had made sure that I wasn't just being paranoid. What she was doing was grade A gaslighting, which I was well experienced with because of my previous relationship. The fight continues to escalate. I accuse her of doing cocaine behind my back and lying to me about her drug habit. I call her a coke whore and quote. And that's when she turns around and swings at me with her eyeliner. I turn in reflex and she lodges the eyeliner pencil about 1.5 inches into my shoulder. She then proceeds to punch about half a dozen times in the face. I don't react or hit or back. I was mostly just in shock. Once she finished beating me and screaming, we both just stand there staring at each other. I pull the pencil out of my arm and drop it on the floor. I walk out of the bathroom and into the kitchen where I get some duct tape and patch up the hole in my arm. I have a tattoo right where she stabbed me and I still have a nice healthy scar there to this day. I leave the apartment and I start my walk to the liquor store. Kate is blowing up my phone. She is doing the whole thing where she is apologizing, and when she doesn't get a response she beginning throwing insults and then repeats that cycle over and over. I buy a bottle of Fireball whiskey and proceed to walk and drink and walk and drink. I eventually black out and wake up to none other than the Jeffrey who I played pool with the other day and some other guy I didn't know trying to pick me up out of the snow. They put me in their car, Apparently they were on their way to work and saw me fall and not move on the side of the street and pulled over to make sure I was okay. Today I wonder where those guys worked because it must have been super early in the morning. I was walking for hours at that point and probably blacked out long before I fell. I had finished the whole bottle of whiskey very quickly. When I was in the car with them, they asked me what was going on and why I was walking around at that time of night that far from the town. I could barely talk. It felt like my lips were frozen. I was able to tell them where I lived and they dropped me off at home. When I go inside, Kate is shocked and tries to get me to lay down and get me warm. I blacked out again shortly after and wake up in a pool of vomit in my bed. I get up and take a shower and go out into the living room where Kate is sitting on the couch crying. We begin to talk. She apologizes for stabbing me with the eyeliner pencil, and she admits that she had started doing coke again and was going to her coworker's place. A few of them lived together in an apartment. They were all females, and she would do coke with them before coming home. She first started doing it to help her get through work and it just kept escalating. I asked her if it was just coke or if it was other stuff too because there were some nights where she seemed like she was more than just coke. She admits every once in a while she took a Xanax to take the edge off the coke before she came home, but she did this rarely. We ended the conversation civilly and she promised to stop doing drugs and lying to me about where she was and that she would never hide anything from me again. But now that I knew she was capable of lying and keeping things from me, I was a bit more on my toes with things than usual. Weeks go by, and things are kinda back to normal for a while. The only odd thing was Kate was working more often than usual. She would cover for people more or pick up extra shifts randomly more often. Before she only worked 4 days a week, but now she working 6 or 7 days. It didn't become suspicious until I noticed that if we had a fight on a night she wasn't scheduled to work, she would immediately start getting ready and tell me she texted her manager and asked if she could come in because she needed to get away from me. We only had one car and this was before Uber was really everywhere, so I couldn't go check out her work to see if she really was at work. But then one day my friend was over while Kate was at work and we were just playing video games and decided we wanted to go out to get some Taco Bell. Neither of us had it in forever. We had the munchies and wanted to find one, so I pulled out my phone to look on Google Maps where the nearest Taco Bell was. That's when I noticed something I had never seen before. Me and Kate shared a Google account on our Androids at the time, so it showed both of our search histories for locations we typed into Google Maps. And on that very day she searched some random location in a nearby neighborhood when she left for work in Quat. My head began to spiral again and I told my friend I no longer felt up to it and just wanted to go to bed, so he left a bit confused. I double-checked everything on my phone and even went on my computer and did some searches to see if there was any way I was misinterpreting it. And I was not. When Kate came home I asked her if she really went to work that night. She got real defensive and started accusing me of being paranoid. I then proceed to show her the Google Maps and how someone searched this location right when she supposedly left for work and it was not me. She proceeds to tell me the most epic lie I've ever heard. She said I never went there or searched it. Google is wrong. It's probably just a glitch in Quat. Alright, now I finally admit it to myself. I am dating a liar again. I grab a few things and I get a motel in town. I spend many nights fighting with Kate over the phone and crying while watching shitty cable TV. I was so angry that for the second time in a row I'm dating someone who lies to me and keeps things from me. One of our fights gets so heated we completely stopped talking for 2 days. We didn't break up though, just stopped talking. Something inside me was desperately hoping that maybe she's just doing coke and drugs, not cheating. But I am super suspicious that she is cheating at this point and I couldn't let go of it. After a couple nights in the motel, I had convinced myself Kate isn't cheating, she was just back into her drug addiction. And I need to help her get out of it. I know firsthand what drug addiction can do to someone as it did to me once. I decide to reconcile with her. It was later at night and I knew she would be back home in a few hours and I would meet her in the parking lot with some flowers or something. I borrowed a friend's car, went to the shop and bought some flowers and headed home. I park in the parking lot and begin to wait for Kate to get home. At around 2:45 a.m. I see our car drive up to the parking lot. But I see someone in the passenger seat. It was Kate. She wasn't driving. She was sitting in the passenger seat. There was a man I didn't know driving my car. I just laid low and watched. When this random dude that didn't know parked my car, I wasn't ready for what happened next. Another man also gets out from the back seat. WTF is happening? Who are these people? The three of them walk into our apartment. I pull out my phone and begin to write a text message to Kate. I tried to act like I didn't know anything so that I could see what she would say. Maybe these were just platonic friends and she had nothing to hide? I text her and ask her if she was home yet from work and if I could come over and we could talk things out. I told her I wanted to apologize for yelling and saying some hurtful things during our fights. I don't get any messages back for about 15 minutes and then I get a text from her saying, I just got home, but I want some alone time. I do love you with all my heart, let's talk tomorrow ? And quote. My heart was beating out my chest as I read the text. I banged my head on the steering wheel in rage while simultaneously crying. I get out of my car and decide to go inside and confront her. When I get to my apartment, the door is locked. I forgot my keys because I only brought the keys for friend's car. I heard loud music playing on the other side of the door. I tried knocking but no one answered. I walk around the corner where I knew our living room window and bedroom windows were. We were on the ground floor level. I peep in through our living room window and I see no one. I was honestly hoping that I would see them there just smoking weed casually or something. But if they weren't in the living room, then where the fuck are they? I walk a little further down until I get to our bedroom window. The blinds were down but I could see in if I put my eyes on the edge of the window to look real close. When I leaned in to look around the blinds, my heart sank into my stomach. On the other side of the blinds, in our bed, my beautiful girlfriend, whose son I consider to be my own, was getting spit roasted by the two guys I saw her walk in with. I leaned up against the wall and slid down until I was sitting on the ground. My face fell into my hands. I sat there for 5 minutes vaguely hearing what was going on through the window above me. I contemplated going in and killing all three of them. I was so filled with rage. I decide to get up and get back into the car. I start chain-smoking cigarettes as all my memories of the relationship that I cherished so much began to dismantle in my mind. Everything was a lie. Everything I thought about Kate that made me love her so much started to dissolve. Now a lot of you have read my story about when I was cheated on by my college ex-girlfriend, Lisa. When Lisa cheated on me, my rage led me to do everything I can to get the gnarliest revenge I could. In that story, I went completely overboard and Lisa ended up extremely broken and abused. Now many years later, in my first relationship after Lisa, I'm in the same position, but worse. This time, however, I decide not to get revenge on Kate as I did on Lisa. No, this time, I'm going to kill myself. But first, I'm going to kill Kate. I start the car and drive. I stop by a gas station that I know sells some basic hunting and fishing equipment 24 hours. They don't have any guns but they had some hunting and skinning knives. I buy the largest knife they have and drive back to my motel, grab my keys to the apartment, and then head home to paint my bedroom walls with their blood. When I get there, I slowly and quietly open the front door. I begin to creep down the hallway to our bedroom. I'm gripping the knife tight, expecting one of the guys to maybe pop out. I inch up to my bedroom door. It's open but the lights in the room are off and I can't see anything inside. It's quiet, I don't hear anything. Sweat is dripping down my face and I'm trying to control my shaking and breathing so no one hears me come in. Scared of what I might see, I reach into the bedroom and flip the light switch on. When the lights pop on, I just see Kate lying in the bed naked and by herself. Was I hallucinating earlier or something, or did those guys just leave before I got back? She didn't wake up, so I take a look around the room. I see a condom wrapper on the nightstand next to her bed, which pretty much confirmed what I saw, and I now knew I wasn't hallucinating. Me and Kate never used condoms.